I appreciate it. And welcome to all of you who have joined this session with me this afternoon. So the title of this session is GED Tools and Resources for both public and corrections educators. And this is my goal for today. It's to review slides in these 5 different categories with you, the Educator Portal, inside the tester's account, talk to you a little bit about our blog, our prep products, and there's a Did You Know section. So the goal is for me to review the slides in the 5 different sections first. That should take me to about the 35 minute mark. And then I will take questions from all of you. And feel free along the way to just, put your questions in the chat. And like I said, at the end, I would go through and answer them for you. So let's start with the Educator Portal. I think there are many of you that are on the call that are aware of it. To get to it, you would go to our website, ged.com, and then in the top right-hand corner, you would click on the blue rectangle that's titled Educators and Admins. The Educator Portal is free to access. You don't have to pay for it. Once you click on that blue Educator and Admin blue rectangle button, the next thing you'll see is this screen. Ged Program Overview is what you'll see. This is just one of a few sections that you have access to. So you can see it says GED Program Overview over here, and you can also see that it says it on the left-hand side of the screen. And then within that, you see the subsections within this section called GED Program Overview, and you see that here in the middle of the screen with the tiles. The other sections are teaching the GED test, state policies, test administration, etc. So really just wanted to point out that once you get to the Educator Portal, all you then need to do is click on whichever section you're interested in, and then you'll see subsections within it. We're looking at the test administration section right now, and here are the subsections within it. I wanted to point out that for those that are from the corrections, corrections test administrators, educators that are on this call, that testing and corrections is a section in the Educator Portal. And when you click on it, there are some great how-to guides. Most of these how-to guides, they're on the right-hand side of the screen here, relate to different functions that you can perform in GED Manager. So if you have corrections GED Manager access, then there is a guide that will walk you through how to best create an account for a corrections tester. For both public and corrections GED Manager users, there is a how-to guide on how to best run the passer's report. There's a test center support line document here as well. And the reason I'm pointing out these how-to guides is I think, for those of you who already have access to GED Manager, you would agree that GED Manager is pretty easy to use. But if you've just been given access to it, then it might take you a few tries to become a pro at some of the functions or some of the reports that you can run within the system. So these how-to guides that we've assembled, it's a handy list of print-ready guides that easily print on 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper with step-by-step instructions, colored screenshots, sometimes arrows pointing to what it is that you need to click on to help run some of these reports. Here's an example of the how to run a passer's report how-to guide. This is the first page of it. So the format for all of them are the same. It will tell you the title, the purpose, and like I said, step-by-step, clear, concise instructions. And again, this is just page 1 of how to run a passer's report, but just wanted to give you an idea. And this is specifically for corrections. Also for our educators and test administrators in corrections, there is a document here that walks you through how to release a student from a program. So if you know that there's going to be a tester who's going to be released soon, they haven't earned their GED yet, but they have taken some of their tests with you, then if they know what email address they're going to use after release, and in most cases, they will plan to use the same email address that they were using before they entered your facility, then that's really all you need to go into GED Manager and within 15 seconds, change the account, release the account so that they have access to it once they are released into the public. There also is this how a tester can access scores after release document in the correction section. So, for those testers who you weren't able to release their account before they left. And maybe that's because they just simply didn't know what email address they were going to use after release. This is a one-pager that will walk them through what it is that they need to do to get access to their GED account after release. So it states the name of the customer, the number of the customer support center, the hours, the days of the week that it's open, what they should be prepared to say to the representative, so that they can then get access to their account. This who to contact sheet for test administrators is for both public and corrections test administrators, but it is only for test administrators. It is not for educators. And again, this is all within the corrections part of the Educator Portal. And the section that is visited the most in the Educator Portal is teaching the GED test. You see the 5 subsections here: free classroom materials, teaching resources, professional development, prep products, and promote your program. Most of these are applicable to those on the public side, but some are also applicable to those on the correction side. So for example, in the free classroom materials section, you have access to the reference sheets in both English and Spanish, the calculator reference sheet, the mathematics formula sheet, the extended response answer guidelines. Here's an example of that free classroom materials calculator reference sheet. This is what it looks like. Here are some of the extended response tools and resources. Again, both in English and Spanish, the posters, the classroom practice, the scoring tools, quick tips as well. We also have a scoring tool for the extended response. And so before, I wanted to point out that this was not easy to find on our website. There were complaints that educators could not find it. They didn't know that it existed. They didn't, if they found it, they didn't know how to use it, and that it wasn't easy to use. So now we've made it much easier to find. It is easy to use. It's electronic. It's designed to provide feedback, and you could click on this link and it would take you to that scoring tool. So with regards to this scoring tool, educators score the extended response on the GED Ready, Reasoning Through Language Arts exam. It's intended to provide, it's intended to be an instructional tool to provide feedback to improve test taker outcomes. It is available in English. It is available in Spanish. And again, the links are here so that you could access it. But if you were going through the Educator Portal and went to teaching the GED test, then you would see the subsection here for extended response scoring tools. And then if you want to access it in English, click here. If you want to access it in Spanish, you would just click over here. And here's just another slide that talks about the extended response scoring tool, that this tool guides you in scoring your students' extended response based on 3 traits and provides feedback in a printable report. You can download the prompts and passages used in the GED Ready, enter your student's name and test date, and again, additional steps are listed here. We also have a self-assessment writing tool. So it's self-reported, there's 10 reflective questions, and it's for use with the RLA GED Ready. And the link for that is right here on this slide. The slide deck will be provided to you at the end of the session, and also you will see my email address. So if you have any questions, just know that you should feel free to reach out to me at any time with the questions that you have. Educator Handbook is a great tool that's available in our Educator Portal. It's great because it gives an overview of GED test content, recommended teaching strategies, especially helpful for those that are new to preparing students for the GED test. So you can access the Educator Handbook in our Educator Portal at any time. And this was updated about 2 years ago. And with this new version, there is a new Educator Checklist. And really just that checklist is designed to help the new teachers focus on the most important resources to get them up to speed on being a GED instructor. Also within this section of the Educator Portal, educators, students can access practice tests, free practice tests, free study guides available in English and Spanish. The practice tests are a quarter of the length of the actual test. So a great way to give students an idea as to what to expect on the test. If you clicked on, if you clicked on free practice tasks, then this would be the next screen that you would see. And then you would just click on the subject that you're interested in, and then click on the language that you're interested in viewing it in. There are free calculator tutorials and computer-based test tutorials available in the free classroom section. And for anybody who, educator or student who hasn't seen or taken the computer-based test tutorial, I would highly encourage you to do so. It takes between 10 to 15 minutes to click through all that, but gives the user an excellent idea as to what that experience is like of taking the GED test, the different types of questions. When it comes to passages, if there is more than one passage, if there is more than one page to a passage, and you've only looked at page 1 of that passage, you haven't yet looked at page 2 or 3, then there will be an alert on your screen that will say, oh, but you haven't viewed page 2 of this passage yet, or you haven't viewed page 3 of this passage. It does help to alleviate, some anxiety. We also have downloadable resources because we know that's so important, especially to those in corrections. So the computer tutorial that I just spoke about, you could download the computer tutorial. The practice tests are available in downloadable format as well in both languages. I mentioned that there are free student study guides in the Educator Portal. So this is available for all 4 subjects, no cost. It does include sample questions. It's just another great resource for adult educators to use in preparation with their students. And it's good for new teachers to get them familiar with the content that they need to teach. So here's an example of what the language arts study guide looks like. The format is the same for all 4 subjects. It first starts off with what you need to know about this particular test. And then you'll see the test overview section where it lists the topics on the test. Gives you information about the time, the format, and then you'll see the sample questions. We also have performance level descriptors available on our website. So they're for below passing, passing for high school equivalency, GED College Ready, and GED College Credit. So it just breaks down the descriptors for all 4 subjects by performance level in an easy to read chart. So you just click on the one that you want to take a look at. And then wanted to point out that the information on high impact indicator relationships is available in the Educator Portal as well. So, which demonstrate the interconnectedness across the content areas, develop skills available for use across a range of learning contexts. So this documentation, is available in the Educator Portal. You can click on this link here to get to it, and just covers the important skills that are used across the content areas. So here's an example where, order in RLA, you order the sequence of events in the text, right? But in social studies, you're identifying the chronological structure of a historical narrative and sequence steps in a process. In science, you reason from data or evidence to a conclusion. In mathematics, you're searching for and recognizing an entry point for solving a problem and planning a solution pathway. And moving along, always in the Educator Portal, you have access to our state policy pages, which would give you the most up-to-date, important information about what the rules are in your state for GED testing, and that's organized into different categories. So once you click on state policies, then you would just select the state that you're interested in, and then click View State Rules. If you were to click on Minnesota, you would see the same 5 categories that you would for any of the jurisdictions that deliver GED tests. And then within each of these categories are the most frequently asked questions. And so to see the answer, all you need to do is click on the question or click on the plus sign that's to the right of that. So for example, here in test retake policies, I've clicked on this question, and then I can see the answer down below. In session newsletter, I mentioned it in the presentation that I gave earlier today. This is an excellent tool and resource especially for educators, because this is your best way to get the latest news, the latest updates, the latest information from GED Testing Service. This is a free newsletter that we send by email once a month. It's usually sent on the second Wednesday of each month. And to sign up for it, all you need to do is go to the very bottom of the Educator Portal, scroll all the way down and click on this blue button that you see here. Once you do that, you will be asked to enter your email address, and then you just click on sign up. So again, you scroll all the way down to the Educator Portal and click on this blue button. Number one reason that people are looking at educators are looking at the in session is to see information about the next Tuesdays for Teachers session. This is a free professional development webinar series that we've offered over the last few years. And in the end session, we will let you know when the next Tuesdays for Teachers webinar will be, the date and time of it, the title, a brief description, the names of the presenters, and you will see a button to register if you want to register for the live session. But also, let's say there was a Tuesdays for Teachers webinar last month, then in the next in session, you would see the link for that recent one where you could click on it to view the recording at your convenience and then also access those resources that the presenters made available. If you want to take a look at Tuesdays for Teachers recordings for the last 2+ years, you can access them in our Educator Portal. To quickly get to it, you could just click on the link that you see here on the screen. And or you just go to the Educator Portal, click on Professional Development, and then click on Webinar Trainings. Once you do that, you'll see it like what was most recently delivered first, and then you would just click on Watch More if you wanted to go further back. And again, you have the ability to view the recordings at your convenience. You have the ability to access the resources that the presenters made available, and you can even download certificates as well. You can access the Tuesdays for Teachers webinars by going to YouTube as well. So either way, you could go to YouTube or you could go to the Educator Portal. And even if you go to YouTube, you have the ability to click on that Show More button, which will populate more of the Tuesdays for Teachers sessions that we've had. And if you want to access it through YouTube, all you need to do is search for GED Testing Service, Tuesdays for Teachers. For the RLA educators that are in attendance, I wanted to let you know about the extended response videos that are available. These are available through the testers' accounts. They're available in the Educator Portal. It's an 8-episode series where we just take a deeper dive into the skills and expectations that will help students excel on the written response. The videos are pretty short. I think they average 4 minutes and 20 seconds in length. So it's something that you could watch on your own before you're going to deliver a lesson with students, or you can watch with your students. Again, you can access it at any time through the Educator Portal. But if you would like all of the 8 videos, you can order that for free, and that would be sent to you on DVD. All you need to do is send an email to the email address that you see here on the screen. GED Print Hub is something that you have access to through the Educator Portal. So if you wanted to take a look at the GED brochures, posters, pamphlets, you can do that, but you first need to create an account in GED Print Hub. So this is how you get to GED Print Hub. To create the account, all you need is a username, a password, email address, and that will take you into the Print Hub. Just know that if you're ordering brochures or pamphlets, those are free, but you would have to pay for shipping. Also within the Print Hub, you have access to program printable flyers. And we first made these available about 1.5 years ago. You can download them and download these flyers to print and distribute on your own, put it up in your prep centers. So these PDF files are available in English and Spanish. And the front of the flyers are customizable to include your program's contact information. So here's one of the templates that you could choose from. So it's down at the bottom where you have the ability to type in information about your center's name, the address. It's always good to put hours of operation in there, the best number for testers or anybody that's interested in finding out more information about your program. What's the best number for them to call, and list that there. And we suggest putting an email address in there as well. So now we are at the next section of the presentation inside the student's GED account. Just wanted to, I mean, this actually applies more to those on the public side than the correction side, but just wanted to point out that some of those resources that I pointed out to you that are available on the Educator Portal, the free practice tests, those are available to students through their account too. But a lot of students don't realize that, because the number one reason that testers go into their GED account is to view their score. Even though they do have access to a lot of things within their GED account, they don't spend time exploring their account. But if they did go to the study section, for example, and just clicked on RLA, here are some of the things that they have access to. Some of them are free, some of them you have to pay for, but I just wanted to let you know that that free practice test is available in the study section of their account. This is a great article here, How to Write a Good Extended Response, and that's available to them as well. If they are interested in taking that free practice test, this is what their screen's going to look like. They would just make a selection as to which subject they're interested in. And that computer test tutorial, the one that gives you the 10 to 15 minute overview of what it's like to take a GED test on computer, is here. They just click on this button to start it. Once they do click on that free practice test button, then this is the screen that they would see. They would see the language that they selected, and then they would just need to click start to get going. And this is what the first screen of the test tutorial looks like. So to continue with this, all they would need to do is click next, which is at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. The next section that I wanted to cover with you is our blog. I won't spend long on this section, just wanted to let you know that this is something that we introduced last year. So you can access it by going to ged.com. It's now the fourth option across the top middle of the screen. And once you click on blog, you have access to different topics, different categories. And within these categories, there are different articles. So for example, here are some of the ones that are in the math section. And there's more, but these are just some of them. Here are two that are in the RLA section. So if you haven't taken a look at it, I would encourage you to do so, especially if you're new at being a GED educator. I think you'd find some of those articles helpful. The next section that I'd like to cover with you is titled Prep Products. Now, several of you on this call are already aware of the majority of the products that I'm going to run through here with you. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but just kind of quickly go through. And if you have any questions afterwards, later on, by all means, feel free to reach out to me. We're happy to provide demos as well. We often get asked, well, do you have a list of partnering publishers? We do, and it's on our website. So Ged Program recognizes trusted publishers who develop curriculum materials that are 100% aligned with the test. And if you wanted to see the list of those publishers, all you need to do is click on this link that you see here on this slide. Wanted to let you know that we partnered with Aztec to develop a Spanish prep product. This was introduced in the spring. And this is specifically developed for Spanish GED testers. There's audio support as well. Again, if you wanted a demonstration of it, we'd be happy to give that to you. Like the GED Flash and the GED Play, you also have the ability to track and see which lessons testers have watched, how much of it they've watched, how well they've done on questions, that sort of thing. GED Flash has been around, for a while now. I think most educators are aware of it, but for those of you who haven't heard of it, if you think, back to the old days where we had the paper flashcards, laminated flashcards, this is like that, but it's just an electronic form. So with GED Flash, there's, thousands of questions for the 4 different subjects, and students can take this even like on their phone or through their account. They could access their GED account through their phone or just get onto a laptop or a tablet, access their account, and they'll be presented with a certain amount of questions a day. And even if they get the question right, so the questions are multiple choice, but even if they get those questions right, there's an explanation as to why this is the correct answer and not the other options. So with GED Flash, it is aligned to the GED test blueprint. Like I said, there's thousands of questions, and there is that immediate feedback that will let them know whether or not their selection is correct or not. And let's see here. Oh, so here's an example of a math question where the tester had selected the wrong response, and then you can see what shows up down below after it says incorrect. And GED Flash has been around for a while now. Our research shows that the average non-passing GED score nationwide is a 141, but students who practice frequently with GED Flash scored on average 4 points or higher on their GED test versus those who rarely used it. And just like with anything, when it comes to practice, the more that somebody practices, the more confident they feel. That's the feedback that we're getting from testers who have used GED Flash. Here's an example of a question being asked. The tester has chosen the correct answer, and you can see the explanation down below. So again, that instant feedback with step-by-step explanations, and the questions are aligned to cover the exact skills from the test. GED Play is something that we introduced 2 months before the pandemic started, and this is something that those especially in corrections have taken advantage of because it is on-demand video learning, and it's been so difficult to keep staff in so many different types of businesses and organizations, but especially in corrections. And so sometimes a correctional facility might have a math teacher and a science teacher, but not social studies and RLA. So what some organizations are doing is that if they don't have a certain subject teacher, then they are using GED Play and having the students watch the video lessons on their own or together as a class. These lessons are actually delivered by Kaplan instructors, and you do have the ability to track the lessons that have been viewed if you're going to assign individual lessons to individual students instead of not doing it in a group format. You have the ability to track that as well. GED Ready offline for corrections is something that if internet is an issue, then it's something that you might be interested in learning a little bit more about. With this, their same-day scoring is available. It's available in English and in Spanish. There's 2 forms for each of the subjects, and when I say same-day scoring is available, as soon as the tester is finished taking the GED Ready on the computer, they will get a score report printed, and because it's offline, no internet access is needed to take the test. Basically, the way that it works is that you place an order for a certain amount of the GED Ready offline tests. A file is downloaded, you put it on a jump key, and then you walk it over to non-internet testing computers. So let's say you purchased 100 and you have 5 non-internet testing computers. You put the jump key in the computer, assign 20 to computer 1, 20 tests to computer 2, and so on and so forth. And then as each test is being used, it counts down. And here's just a visual of how that works. But again, if you're interested in learning anything, any additional information about any of the prep products, by all means, reach out to me afterwards, and I'd be happy to give you some more information. The last section that I wanted to cover with you is, did you know? So I mentioned that the frequently asked questions are on our GED.com website. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, they're there. The reason I mention it is because so many people, not educators so much, but more the students, the family members, the friends that are helping them along the way aren't aware of this. And this does help to alleviate some of their anxiety or some of the anxiety they have for their family member, their loved one that's taking the test. So again, just wanted to point this out, that it's always at the bottom of the GED.com website. I always get asked about name changes. What do I do if the name is wrong? So we no longer support name changes due to marriage or divorce for testers who've already credentialed. But obviously, if the name wasn't spelled wrong, it wasn't spelled correctly in the first place, if somebody tested under an alias is in witness protection, has gone through a gender change, then we want to assist with with that name change, we do need formal documentation. And then we work with, Brandy, Brad, and Neil to make sure that we have the documentation before we go forward and make a name change. So, I think in Minnesota, you can easily reach out to myself, or you can reach out to Brandy, Neil, or Brad. You could also send an email to help@ged.com to get that name changed or that date of birth updated. Even if the tester has credentialed, this would be like an email address that you could reach out to. The thing to recognize, though, is that this is something that cannot be fixed with you making a phone call and asking the representative to do this on the spot. It just can't be, because we need formal documentation. We need to review that, and then a decision needs to be made. And please make sure that if you do submit that request, that you do attach, the formal documentation with that. And whether you send it to help@ged.com or myself or Brandy, Neil, or Brad, it's important that you don't just attach the documentation and say something like, please assist with this. It's important to spell out in the email what's wrong currently on the account. Is it the name, or is it the date of birth, or is it both? And then specifically state what it should be changed to. Don't leave it up to us or a representative to figure that out. I get asked a lot about accounts being merged. What's the best process to go through? I know that, there are students that we're working with who have more than one account. So if you realize that a tester has more than one account, best thing you can do is reach out to help@ged.com and request for those accounts to be merged. If you know the GED ID number of any of those accounts, please list it in the email. That is helpful for the representatives. And it's also great if you can indicate which of the accounts should be kept, because sometimes it's a no-brainer, right? Sometimes it's just obvious. The other account is from 5-6 years ago, so please keep the account with this email address in it. So if you can, please state that. And it's always important to specifically state the tester's first name, last name, date of birth as well. And if you don't know the GED ID number of any of the accounts that the tester has, then please indicate the email address that's associated with those accounts if you can. Font and color contrast adjustment. I wanted to let you know that this is something that's available for all testers, not just those with approved accommodations. This is something available for everyone. Here are just some of the options that testers can choose from, and they can change their selection as many times as they want during that test. Even if they wait till the last 5 minutes of the test, the system will allow them to do that. So again, you don't need to have approved accommodations to be able to make an adjustment to the font or the color contrast on your screen when taking a test. If you go to this part of our website, you'll be able to see the step-by-step instructions for students to change the screen color combination, for them to change the text size, or for them to be able to highlight. It is, pretty simple. Once they're in the test, they go to the top right-hand corner, click on this drop-down arrow, and they'll see the different options. And then when it comes to size, testers have a choice of 5 text sizes. So standard is 100%, but they could also choose to increase the size to 125, 150, 175, 200, and they always have the ability to change back to what they were previously at, or make a change back and forth as many times as they want. The system's not going to stop them if they made 3 selections and say you've made too many selections. It will allow them to make further selections if they want. Here is what it would look like if you go to the top right-hand corner to adjust size. So just wanted to show that to you. And here are the links for the major sections of the Educator Portal that I pointed out to you. And here is my email address, and I'm going to stop and take questions. Just let me access the chat. Okay. Well, thanks, Andy, for your comment about the Tuesdays for Teachers. You post some of those links in the chat. Thanks. Yeah. Oh, so GED test is given in English and Spanish. So the official practice test and the actual test testers can make a selection as to whether or not they want to take it in English or Spanish. Any other questions for me? I hope you found it helpful. I mean, there's just so many different tools and resources, and at any time, not just, you know, in the near future, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. That's what we're here for.
Melissa, we do have a question. Someone had asked, you had mentioned Spanish. So I know the test is offered in English and Spanish.
Yes.
But do you have any plans of other languages besides the two?
No, I mean, that isn't in the plan. I know I did attend an assessment meeting about 2 months ago where that was brought up. And the plan is that when it comes to the US test, that only English and Spanish for now. When it comes to the Canadian test, English and French.
Okay. Okay. And then is there a reason some people are asking about setting up their educator account. All right. But there would be no reason for a teacher to set up a student account to see what that would look like. Would there be, or?
So actually, you know, we do encourage you to set up an account so you're aware of what it looks like for a tester at any given time. I have a slide on that. I did include that in this presentation, but it has the link to go to so that you can go ahead and create that account. But so it doesn't count as like a Minnesota testers account, right? It counts as an educator account on our side. So I don't have that with me right now, but I could add it to the resources that are available as part of this presentation.
Yeah, because I have a couple people asking about that. And then just to remind people, they'll all have access to your slides and the links on the slides.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
The website does look different as a student than as an educator, because I've got both accounts for me. It's also good to go in with a portable device with your cell phone or a tablet, because it may look slightly different from that. So when you get students that come in and it's like, I can only get to this on my phone, you at least have an idea of what it looks like. So
yes,
it's always good as an educator to go in there and see all the different permutations.
For sure. Thanks for bringing that up, Andy. I appreciate it.
Okay. So slides are available to everyone who's attended. Yes. So someone has a helpful tip. It says, I usually help and make sure they, meaning students, add our program, so the school's program in their profile. Most that do not, or most that do it alone skip that section. So that might be a pro tip if you're helping a student set up their own account.
Yep.
You can always go back in and go to their profile and edit their profile and add it in later. Because that way our school can get the scores when they actually take the tests, and we can give them vouchers for the GD Ready and stuff like that.
Right. There's a lot that they can edit through that edit profile section of their account. You know, when students enter their GD account, it's in the top right-hand corner of the screen. It won't allow them to edit the spelling of their name or their date of birth, but they can edit things like their answer to the accommodations question, their phone number, their email address. Like Andy said, if they didn't make that selection for Prep Center, they can make that selection there. So there's lots of different things that they have access to, that they can see what they've entered before, and they can make changes to it later. Let's see, one thing I'd like to see in it is the schedule dates and times for students, e-testing specifically, otherwise to find a time it's not possible in educator accounts. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Yep, I'm writing that down as feedback. Thank you.
Really 11.
I don't see any other questions at this time, Melissa.
Right. Right. Well, then again, thank you. Thank you for attending. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference, the rest of your summer. Thanks for all you do for the testers. And again, please don't hesitate if you have any questions. Take care.
Thanks, everyone. I'm going to end this meeting.